everyone. Welcome to Conversations with God podcast. This is your host, Melissa. And today I have a very special guest with me, Mario Loja, who is the founder of Seeds of Hope Chicago, Inc.
Thank you for having me. I'm
Yeah, of course, Mario.
truly honored. Truly honored.
So, tell us about yourself.
Um, like she said, my name is Mario Loja. But all my friends call me Mars. I grew up with that name. I don't know how it came to be, but it just came to be. Was born and raised here in Chicago, from two Hispanic parents. I've attended a church in Chicago for over 27 years. So,
Wow.
I got saved when I was 13 years old, just a little kid, and been serving God since. So,
Awesome.
I have a beautiful wife, and three beautiful girls. 13, 5, and 3. So
Nice.
house is always busy. So a bunch of girls in the house. So yeah.
Awesome. And so I just want to dive into kind of like your relationship with God. You know, you told me you were saved, you encountered
Right.
Jesus at
Right.
the age of 13, 14.
Around that age, yeah.
Yeah.
So we, being having a Hispanic Mexican mom, we grew up Catholic. So I
Mhm.
remember it very clearly. We did all the communions and all that stuff, and nothing against the Hispanic, I mean the Catholic community, but Um, we lived maybe about 3 blocks away from our church that, we attended in Chicago, and I remember this very clearly because my uncle, became sick, and, they never told us, like, what was wrong with him. I just remembered he took over my bed, and, they wouldn't allow me to sleep in there, and my family were looking for answers. They wanted to, see what else they can do for him. In other words, they were kind of looking for that spiritual
Right.
guidance. And every day we drove by that church because it was by our house. And my mom told me, I don't remember the story, but mom told me one lady stopped them and they were evangelizing in the streets. And she told them, hey, come to this church, out of nowhere, just come to the church. And she decided, let's give it a try. We tried everything else and nothing's helping out. So we went to that church, and the moment we entered, we never left that church. We There's always one part of our family that's still in that church, but um, I to this day will always say that my uncle brought me to Christ
Yeah.
because of his situation. He ended up dying, and then we ended up finding out later what it was that he had, that really shook the whole family. But we were so grateful that we found God, that we knew how to navigate through that situation.
Yeah.
But even though he died, I always say even in his deathbed, he brought me closer to God. He's the reason why he brought us to God. So it was awesome. Sad that I lost my uncle because everybody says I was
Right.
exactly like him, but I'm truly blessed to have him in my life and him bringing me to Christ.
Were you ever discouraged from God?
Oh man, yes. I don't know anyone that has not been discouraged from God. Diving into a little bit more of my life. I've been divorced through my first wife. I have a 14-year-old daughter with her. And we met through church. You always think, oh, you met someone in church, it's a good thing. You're gonna be forever with that person, but we weren't. We were young kids. We weren't ready for this, and we. When I say we, I think it would be more me. I messed up a lot in a sense that I didn't put God first in our relationship, in our marriage, and anything. I always worried about other things and never put God first, and that's what I think separated us. From that. But divorce was really, really hard, and I was definitely, the first thing you want to do is when something bad happens, you want to blame God.
Right.
Always. Oh, it's your fault,
So
God.
true.
Why? I've been serving you for so many years. I'm doing this. I'm doing
Hmm.
this in church. I'm doing this in church, and this is how you're gonna repay me. Like this, you're gonna just go do this. And I had to learn the hard way, that it's not God. I stopped questioning him now. I
Yeah.
don't, when things happen, I don't question him anymore.
I
But
feel you.
yeah, there's many times I've been discouraged. Uh, even with the organization that I have now, that we'll talk a little bit more about it. Even to this day, being the age that I am now, I still feel discouraged, and I still be like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a crazy path for me. What I've been through to where I am now. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So, in your relationship with God, was there ever a moment where you ran from his calling?
Oh, yeah. I remember being when I entered the church, I was 13 years old. By the time I was 14, I felt, man, I felt strong for God. I was in love with God. I was this little Mexican kid who was like 4'11", weighed like 98 pounds. I was always small, like when I was younger. Everybody always used to make fun of me. But I remember I was on fire for God. And I had a calling. I was supposed to preach and lead and stuff like that. But I was thinking about this on the way over here because I was, I drove from Chicago. It was an hour and a half, and I was thinking to myself, because I was like, why did I run, God? What scared me from my calling? And I didn't know until I started talking to myself in the car, and I got scared because I grew up in a church where a lot of my friends ended up leaving, becoming pastors. And I look at their lives and what they went through because I honestly think that being a Christian is the hardest thing in the world. It is like, when you get saved, it's like the most wonderful thing in the world when you get saved that night, or wherever you went to that church. And that moment you got saved, all your worries, all your cares are gone. You're like,
Mhm.
oh, I accepted Jesus.
Yeah.
Now life is going to be great. It's going to be awesome. But it's like when you buy something, you don't read the fine prints. They don't tell you that Christians are the most persecuted, most judged people in the world because of what we believe in, and the world doesn't. So I got scared in my life, and I was like, do I want to give all that up of what I have, or do I really want to give God my 100%? Like, I knew pastors who struggled and sometimes didn't even have groceries to feed their family, but somehow God always provided.
Yeah.
They always had it. And I was like, do I want to go with that?
Mhm.
So I got scared and I was like, so I ran. I ran, man, a lot of the years of my life I ran away from God, and he still managed to bless me. After being divorced, and especially being a Christian and getting divorced, because we don't believe in divorce, I didn't
Exactly.
think I was going to find love again. I didn't want love. I didn't want love. I didn't want kids, and he blessed me with an amazing woman, and gave me two more children. So I still to this day is like, why do you keep blessing me? I've been running my whole life from you. I've been not doing what you want me to do. Why do you keep blessing me? But every time someone always says to me, he's like, it's just the same words. He's not done with you yet. So that's something I'm still trying to navigate and figure out. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get you. I think even in my relationship with God, sometimes I'm like, man, God, I don't think that I'm gonna be really honest with you. I don't think that I want to give you 100%
Yeah.
because I know it consists of sacrifices,
A lot.
dying to my flesh, dying to my will, my everything that I ever dream of. And so sometimes, I just have to have that raw conversation with God about I don't think I have the courage to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
So it's so easy sometimes to run away from that calling. But yeah.
I think my biggest thing was my friendship with the people in the world.
Mm, okay.
Um, for many years, I always put in my head is I might be the only bridge they have to follow Jesus, to know about Jesus. So why am I going to give them up? But I was playing with the world. I was one foot in the world and one foot in God. I wasn't giving my true to God because I was afraid of losing my friends,
Yeah.
because I'm like, well, I can get them saved, but I wasn't doing anything to get them saved. They just knew I went to church. So it was really hard for me to give that up. I just recently learned that I had a friend who every time we would go out, we would get into some trouble. Nothing bad, but I learned that I had to
Oh yeah.
put boundaries in that life and be like, listen, man, I love you. You have been through me, through my divorce, through all my stuff. Um, I love you a lot and what you have done, but this is not me anymore. This
Hmm.
is who I should be and what I want to be, what I was called to be. And they respect that. If they don't respect that, that's when you got to be like, I gotta go. I gotta go.
Yeah.
I don't. They'll bring you down, and then it's not good. So yeah, it was hard, but he's still there. Good friend of mine, one of my best friends, and it's great. And I'm praying that God brings him. He finds Jesus, and it'll be one of the greatest stories ever. Yeah.
What was the breaking point for you when you said, you know what, God, this is it. I surrender it all.
Whew. Okay, so let me. Divorce happened, and I didn't want it. It was very hard for me, because I was a Christian and we didn't believe it. But it came to a point where mom sat me down and she said, "Listen, she doesn't love you anymore. and it's time to sign the papers. And to hear that from the woman that you love so
Oh,
much, my mom is everything to me.
yeah.
My wife and I always joke around. Like she's like, I can take you wrestling, and I would be like, listen, I wouldn't want to wrestle you, not because I'm scared of you, but because I'm scared of that 5'1" little lady that's my mom that will kick my butt if I ever touched you. But just the respect that I have for my mom. But when she sat me down, she said, "It's time to sign the papers." I signed them, and it was the beginning of the worst thing that ever happened to me. I went to depression, um, because it was hard. We had a 6 month old baby when this it was my firstborn, and when this happened, and went to depression, and then I thought I could solve it with alcohol, and every weekend that I didn't have my daughter, I literally was drinking my life away, with my friends. Then I got a DUI, and that changed my whole life because I was working in a company that I required a license, and so it was going just spiraling down, just spiraling down. And then when I finally lost that, I contemplated suicide. I thought that my daughter could have a better life without me. At this time, my ex-wife got remarried, and I knew the guy, really nice guy. And I remember this very clearly because my daughter would spend every other weekend with me, and every single night we would stay up late watching Powerpuff Girls. And every night would be the same routine. When we go to bed, I would have to tell her, "Hey, baby, I love you. Good night." She'd be like, "Good night, daddy," and roll away. And that night, when I finally got to the break, just I'm done. I said, "She doesn't deserve this. She doesn't deserve this hot mess." I said, I didn't know how I was going to end my life. I didn't have a whole plan of what I was going to do, but I said, I don't need to be in this world anymore. She doesn't need this guy anymore. We laid down in bed, and I was gonna return it back to her mom the next day, and I was just gonna figure out a way to just end it. And she looked at me for the first time, the whole time she was with me, and she said, "Dad," I said, "Yeah." It's like, "I love you so much." I said, and then she turned around and went to bed. It was always me saying it, and it was her this time. And I cried that whole night. I remember it so well. I cried that whole night, and I was just like, "How selfish am I, God? What am I doing? What am I doing?" Um, so at that point, that's why I was like, "Lord, I need to surrender everything to you. I'm lost. I don't know what I'm doing." And I honestly thought that was it. That was the breaking point. Until I was diagnosed with the tumor again. And I kept, and this time when the tumor came around, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was I wasn't even worried anymore. I was not a I Everybody says, "Why are you not worried?" I'm like, "Listen, divorce, depression, DUI, suicide, God is preparing me for something. I'm going through all this for a reason."
Yeah.
I mean, and I can honestly tell you now, I have friends that are going through this right now that I can finally say, "Hey, John, I know what you're going through. I literally know what you're going through because I've gone through it." I said, "I think this is just another thing that God's given me to prepare me to for something great." And that's when I finally just I gave it all this time. Yeah, I said that time I wanted to kill myself. I'm done. Gotta give surrender all. But this is truly this last time. It was it. I said I have to. I can't be this type of person that has one foot in the world and one foot with God. I have to give him 100%. I can't do this anymore. And that's when I finally broke down to me when the whole thing happened with the brain tumor, and I got away from it. Like he healed me 100%. That's when I said, "This is it. I can't. I mean, what's next? That I mean, you can't play around no more, Mario. Um, you gotta start taking life not serious. I hate saying the word serious, but you got to get right with God, like 100%. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true. So you mentioned the brain tumor. What was one thing that you fought against with so much during that time?
what did I fight against?
Yeah.
I wanted to be mad at him. I wanted to be mad at him again. I wanted to just blame him for it, and and I never told anyone that. I always say, "Hey, yeah, we're gonna be okay. Listen, we're gonna be all right. He's gonna heal me. We're gonna pray about this. We're gonna be good." But there was times at night where I wanted to just be mad at him again. So why now? What's going on? I mean, I have two beautiful new girls in my life that are with me all the time. I have a beautiful wife. Everything's going good. Business is going good. Why are you doing this to me now? I just wanted so mad, so bad, just get mad at him and just blame it all on him. And I couldn't. I came I just couldn't. It was hard. But, you know, being a Christian, we got to have that faith. We got to have that positive, like we're going to be okay. We know that God heals. We know that He's the God of healing. We know that no matter what, we're going to be okay. But we're humans too,
Yeah.
and a part of us is just like, "Ah, here we go again," and we want to get angry. We want to get mad. But I just, I just got to the point now where I'm just like, I'm done questioning you. You're doing this for a reason. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop questioning. Yeah,
Did you ever doubt him
many times.
many times?
Many times, yeah, yeah. Um, when we heard, when they diagnosed us, they said they were going to it would be a 12-hour procedure to take out the tumor. And we were gonna do it, and this time it was COVID time, so we got laid off from our job. So it was, they were still paying us and all doing all that stuff. But I remember very clearly the doctor came in and said it will be a 12-hour procedure. We'll do it in two sets. One 6 hour, we're gonna drill it in there to get to where it's at.
Mhm.
You heal for 2 weeks. We go back in the next 2 weeks for another 6 hours, and we'll take out that tumor, and it's gone. He said, "You will stay in for a week at the hospital because we got to drain your spine. You'll be at the 100% from your right ear. And if one thing goes wrong that we mess up, you'll be eating from a tube for the rest of your life." I was like, "Wait, what?"
Wow.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And at that moment, when you hear those things, you start doubting God right away. You're like,
Yeah.
"Whoa, what's no?" And you want to believe those doctors. You want to believe what they're saying. You're like, "Okay, maybe this is the best way. They know what they're doing. Let's do this." And I'm so grateful for having my wife. I kid you not, she's seriously my backbone, and she's like, "Absolutely not. We're not doing this. We're gonna believe in God." She did her research, and we did alternative medicine, and it healed me 100%. I didn't lose anything that they said. I didn't have to go through all that. But yeah, I as soon as I heard that, I doubted God. I was like, "Sorry, you're not gonna heal me. I'm gonna believe this man right here that's went to school for how many years that says I can be okay," but definitely doubted God right there when I shouldn't have. But you know, you learn. You definitely learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That is so
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah.
So, after all of this, how did Seeds of Hope come to be?
Good old Caesar. Yeah. So I went through a whole year of the brain tumor treatment. I couldn't walk. My wife had to pull me in a wheelchair. I couldn't play with my kids. That was probably the hardest thing because they wanted to play with daddy. They were still young. They
Mhm.
wanted to play with daddy, and daddy was just like a vegetable laying in bed, and I couldn't get out. After that year happened and I was getting better, and I saw improvements, I was walking around. Um, my cousin and his wife and two other people from the church were going to Colombia. They just decided we're going to go to Colombia, take a vacation. And one of the guys pulled out for personal reasons, and he reached out to me. He says, "Hey, do you want to come with the wife and kids?" And like I said, this was still COVID time, and the wife's like, "I don't want to put the kids in the plane with a mask on for those many hours." She's like, "No, no, no." She's like, "You go." I was like, "I'm not gonna go without you." She's like, "No, go." I think God was definitely talking to her for her to go. Um, so I thought it was gonna be a nice vacation to refresh after going through a whole year of treatments. Um, I said, "You know what? This is gonna be great. I'll go out there, I'll get refreshed, enjoy a beautiful country, and then come back, and I'm ready to go to work." We went out there and it was beautiful. Colombia is beautiful. If you ever get a chance to go, it's beautiful. It's the culture is amazing. The church they had out there was really nice. They took care of us. And but one thing that I saw out there is when we walked a lot to different places to go eat and stuff like that, the poverty was just so bad. Little kids. I'm talking about kids that were like my little daughter's age in the street asking for money or selling little bubble gums or selling lollipops. And remember, my body was still registering, and the people went to climb this big mountain. I couldn't do it, so I stayed at the Airbnb, but I walked to a coffee spot. And I remember this mother, and she was breastfeeding her baby in the streets and asking for money, and that just it killed me. It killed me right there. Um, the church that we were attending there to go while we were in there, they were doing a Navidades Alegres where
Oh, okay.
they collect toys and they give
Yeah.
kids for Christmas. Um, Prior to me going there, when my brain tumor, we were doing raffles, and this is how amazing God is. The treatment that we were doing, it wasn't covered through the insurance. We didn't have insurance. When they told me they want to take out the brain now, they're like, "Yeah, you just got to put down 10%." I'm like, "What's the whole total?" Like 500,000. I'm like, "Yeah, let me just write you a check."
Oh my god.
um, but when we saw alternative medicine, nothing was covered through it. So, I was very prideful. I've never been a type person to ask anybody for help or ask anybody for money or stuff like that. My sister-in-law is like, they got GoFundMe stuff and they got stuff like that, asked for help. And I was like, no. So she started one for me. And the amount of love that we received from the community, from the church, and then she started doing raffles for us, and those were amazing. We are 100% debt free from any medical bill for my brain tumor. We owe nothing to
Oh,
that, and it's just a testimony of
amazing.
how amazing God is. Blessed us totally. So when we came back and we found out that they were doing those gifts, I was like, you know what? I want to do something. I want to get back. People have blessed me and given me so much. I want to get back. And I said, I'm gonna do the raffles and we can raise money. And we did raffles and we raised $1,000 and we sent over there. We were able to give, I think, over like 2 or 3 thousand toys because our money's stronger out here. And we were so happy. But in my mind, I was like, I want to do more. And everybody's like, what do you mean? I was like, I want to go bigger. I'm just crazy like that. I want to go bigger. And they're like, what are you talking about? And I said, let's do a concert. And everybody's like, what? I was like, yeah, let's do a concert. I said, what is hot right now in the Hispanic community? And the first thing that came to mind was Maverick City Musica. They
Mhm.
just came out and I was like, we're gonna do a concert. And everybody's like, no, you're crazy. We're not gonna be able to do this. It takes a lot of time. We don't have time. And I said, yeah, I'm gonna do this. We weren't ready. We were not ready. We were not ready at all. We were trying to plan it for December so we can give them for the end of the year, but we didn't have enough time, so we ended up going to. We did it in January, and it was it was a hot mess, but we were able to do it. But Seeds of Hope started there at that moment when I decided that I wanted to get back. Um, just like they gave to me, I wanted to be a blessing to kids' life and children and families just in general. We wanted to do that. So when we came back, the group that we had, my cousin's the one that came out with Seeds of Hope. We were all trying to figure out names. We were doing like Children of God or all this stuff. People were like, no, no, no. When we finally came with Seeds of Hope, we loved it because it's true. We're planting seeds in those kids' lives
Yeah.
to give them hope, to give them something to look forward to, because a lot of them don't have anything out there. So it was a true blessing how that all happened, and we're here now. Yeah,
Wow, that's
yeah.
amazing.
It's a long story, but we're here. Yeah,
Yeah, and so how is it working? How does it work? Why benefit concerts?
because I'm crazy. I don't know. Honestly, it just popped in my head, and I said, "Hey, let's do a concert." And now thinking about it, as far as concert, I love it because it has Seeds of Hope has two ways of how we bless people. Number one is we connect with a church, like we did for Venezuela. The money that we raised, we were able to give to two churches in Venezuela, and what each church did was they did a full day event for the kids, where they fed them, clothed them, gave them medical attention, and then they did cool stuff like they all dressed up as Marvel heroes, and they
Nice.
had jumpy houses, and so the kids were able to play and
Mhm.
and do all that stuff. Um, so it's nice because a lot of the people from the church get to help out in that, and they get that experience of helping other kids that are less fortunate. I
Right.
remember when I did that, when I did a soup kitchen, and how I just cried in the corner because I saw how grateful those people were because they don't have anything, but just to give my time to do that is kind of cool. So I was happy that I was able to do that. And then the other aspect of worship, why we decided to do worship, because whenever you start church, worship is always the first thing to happen.
Yeah.
It breaks whatever um, bad you come with or whatever. It
Mhm.
breaks that for you to receive the word of God. So we decided worship is great to get people together, unite us together. So, and we don't have that in the Hispanic community. Small concerts, like when I say small, is like churches that can fit between 200 to 400 people. You don't have concerts like Christian concerts or Spanish concerts. So we decided that that would be a perfect opportunity to do concerts and bring different people to sing, and then just have one night of just worship where people are just fellowshipping, just loving in the presence of God, and that's what we did, concerts. Yeah.
Yeah, can you I know earlier we were having a conversation, but can you talk to me about an experience during one of those concerts
Oh,
where
yes.
you're like, "Man, like this
Yeah,
is
that was it.
this
Yeah,
is
yeah,
worth
yeah.
it."
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people ask me, which one is your best one? Whatever you love so much? Because we hear a lot of people, that call us, or, write to us on Seeds of Hope Instagram and say how amazing these have been, how they blessed them, how they have changed because of this, and that's awesome. Glory to God first of all. It's not Mario, it's not Seeds of Hope. It's what God's doing. Um, but my favorite one was, like I was telling you earlier, I know this girl, and she has no problem if I say her name, because that's how, her name is Jessany Perez, and I grew up with her in church. And she is a gifted a girl who can write really well. Like, she'll write poetry, she does spoken words, and she's an amazing girl. But she struggled a lot through some substance, um, and it was going really bad with her and her family. And she was getting, she was leaving the house a lot, and we don't know where she was staying half the time. And you know she developed a relationship with my wife, and it was very, very nice. So then one time we found out that she left the house. My wife's like, let's take her in. And I said, sure, we're all about, helping others if we can. So we took her in. 4 months she stayed with us in our house, and we were trying to show her a different approach of how life is, show her a different type of love. I'm not saying her family didn't show her love. Her family, her mother and father are wonderful people, but try to show her from a different perspective of not her family, like yelling
Yeah,
at her or
right?
whatever. But it was great because after the 4 months that she was with us, she fixed a thing with her family, and she was able to go back home. But Night of Worship 2 was in Cicero, Illinois, and I remember this because I called her up and I said, "Hey, would you like to help for the concert?" And she's like, "Yeah, what do you need me to do? I'll do anything." And I said, "Run the tables, the merchandise table for us." And she did. She came to the concert. She was running the merchandise table, and then when the concert started, we closed the tables and everybody was in the worship, and we were sitting in the front, my wife and I, and it was the spirit was there. When I talk about, and Night of Worship was Mary Pagan, Nani, Layla, and Melody, and those girls just, ah, when they started singing, the spirit felt really, really well. But I looked at my wife and she was crying. I thought, man, she's in it right now. She's
Yeah.
worshiping. She's in it. I'm not gonna say nothing. But then somebody told me to ask her, "You okay?" And she said, "Look over there." And then when I looked over there, it was Destiny Perez, and she was just bawling, crying her eyes out with her hands up. And literally, that's when he knew that she surrendered everything to God. She said, "Substance are not gonna control my life anymore. I gave it all to God." And right there and then, I said, "This is why I do it. This is the reason why I do it. I mean, I don't care if we sold out. I don't care who's here, the singers. I don't care. That's the reason why, seeing someone like that change completely, it made it worth it. She ended up opening Night of Worship 3 for us. She did spoken words, and her family came, her mom and dad came. So that was like
Wow.
another beautiful moment for me. Seeing her mom and dad
Absolutely.
support her daughter like that, and being there as she did that, it was like a full circle. Like, I'm saying, it was beautiful, beautiful. And
Yeah.
now we were very proud. We were very happy that night. Yeah.
Yeah, you touch on something so important, which is showing love. And I think sometimes, at least for me in Christianity, we focus so much, and something that I've struggled as youth in church, I've struggled so much when things are just imposed, and we are taught to see Christianity as something that you like set of rules that you have to follow, things that
Right.
you can do. Um, and then we create barriers between people that don't know about God. We
Yeah.
create barriers between people and God, the church and God, and the church and people. And so when really we're just called to show that love,
Yeah.
and through that love is that we win those people, we win those hearts for God, because that's the same love that God has given us. I personally, I wasn't saved because I went to a church and I followed a set of rules. I When I was conscious of who God is, I made that decision myself because of that love that God
Hmm.
gave me, that
Hmm.
God showed me
Yeah.
in different instances in my life. So what you said really resonated with me.
Um, I thought I knew what love was with my first wife, and I didn't. And I went many years thinking I knew love. How I figured it out is I had to learn to love God first, completely, fully fall in love with God, to then learn to love myself because I hated myself for divorcing and leaving my child. I felt like I failed. Even though I still saw her every weekend, I felt like I lost her and it was my fault. I'm the cause of divorce. So I had to learn to love God 100% completely, to learn to love myself for me to love somebody like my wife. And it wasn't until you learn that love God first, 100% give your all to God, then you learn to love yourself. Then He will give you the person that's meant for you to be and love. Yeah. So I had to learn love the hard way, but I finally got it, and I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful because I had that love, and that love is what I show now to everybody when I do these type of things, or we give to kids in different countries, and it's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Talk to me about the logistics of the concerts. Like I know for me, that was like the one thing that really stood out to me. I'm like, how do they choose who sings and all
it's
that?
It's a pain in the neck. It's stressful. Like I said, the first one we just literally I said Maverick City Musica and I just threw it out. I literally slid to all their DMs. I reached out to them. I said, "Listen, they don't even know me. I don't." We didn't even have Seeds of Hope name for the first one. This guy named Mario Loja reached out to my DM saying, "Hey, I'm trying to throw a concert. Can you come?" The first one that answered was Amanda, and then Nate answered, and then Amanda helped me to get Layla. But it was nice because all of them, their parents do their booking. So I
Oh,
developed a
okay.
great relationship with everyone. Like Amanda's father is a pastor, amazing pastor in New Jersey. Nate's mom's a pastora in Delaware. And then Layla's mom's not. But I developed a great relationship with every single one of them. But I got a lot closer with Loida, which is Layla's mom. We developed a great relationship, and that opened up a lot of doors. Knowing them three opened up doors for us to get other singers. But what we do is we look at where we're going to have it, and we know it's going to be like the Hispanic community. So we know we want to do bilingual. We want to be able to have both languages and them doing worship, because a lot of people were hitting us up and saying, "Is this just in English?" Or no, it's both.
Mhm.
But we just felt God directing us towards the younger people, like the people that are not known. Every City Musica is starting to grow a little bit more, but when we got them, they were still small, because we reached out to other artists, and they were a little expensive. But
Mhm.
I truly believe that this is their ministry. This is what God has called them to do. So I think I am a type of person that I respect, that if you ask for this much, you are worth it. You are truly worth it. Um, so I will try to do. But if I can't do it in my budget, or what we have, then I'm not going to try to get you. So we were grateful that we developed a great relationship with all the Maverick City Musica, most of them, um, the singers, and that's how we got them. We were able to meet Mary Pagan from Pennsylvania because of
Oh,
them.
okay.
Yeah, and then we were able to meet Abner for the last one through all of them too. So it was just like everybody knew each other. Like, oh, we think this person would be great for you, and then we're like, oh yeah, let's. We prayed about it, and we said, you know what? Yeah, if God brought us all together for a reason, and we know why. So it worked out. It worked out great. We had three amazing concerts this year. They blessed me a lot. Stressful, very stressful, just like
Mhm.
anything. I honestly thought that it was just like, hey, let me call Layla and just tell her to come sing, and did not realize there's so much more to this. But I'm grateful for Amaris. So shout out to Amaris Castro. She literally is my everything, that helps me book everything, but she's also the one that helps me calm down. Like, hey, it's gonna be okay, because God, I love Hispanics. I love Hispanics people, but they are the worst. They are the worst when it comes to concerts. They leave it till the end to buy their tickets.
Mm,
So like when you
yeah.
do this like 3 months ahead of time, or 4 months ahead of time, and you don't see ticket sales for like 2 months, you stress out. You're like, oh my God, am I doing this? That's where I start doubting God again. I'm like, God, do you really want me to do this? If this is what you want me to do, then why aren't people buying tickets? But she taught me to learn to understand that's how Hispanics work. We always leave everything to
Yes.
the last minute. So by number 2, I kind of understood. By number 3, I was like, "Man, don't worry about it. The last 2 weeks we'll sell." And sure enough, it happened. The last 2 weeks we
Yeah.
sold. But it's just thank God for Maris. Thank you, Maris.
Okay. Why is it worth it to follow Jesus and do kingdom work?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, I think it's different for everybody. Everybody has their own reasonings. For me, just just the experience alone of seeing I'm a type of person that I worry about you more than I worry about myself.
Mm.
I'll try to
Yeah.
bless you more than I'll try to bless myself because that's just the heart that God gave me, and it's the way my mom raised me as well. Um, but to me, it was worth it because I was able to see some of the craziest, most coolest things in the world that I've ever seen in my life. I remember when I was young, I was 14 or 15, maybe 16 years old. We were evangelizing outside of our streets. This little kid, tiny little kid. And I remember speaking to this lady and evangelizing to her. And I kid you not, I think I might have probably just said, "Hey, Jesus loves you." And I started talking a little bit more. I ended up finding out because she came back and told somebody that she was a prostitute that walked in the
Okay.
streets right there and she was going to end her life that day.
Mm.
But because no one's ever truly told her that someone loves her,
Yeah.
that touched her and she changed completely. And to me, I find that rewarding because it wasn't Mario, but what God put in Mario for Mario to say to
Mm.
her. Um, and it's just crazy things that I can't be the type of person that tells you Jesus God doesn't exist because there's so much that I've seen that I've seen. We'll go radical. I mean, I've seen demons being casted out of people.
Yeah.
I seen literally gold flakes come out of people's hands. They were praying. It was weird. One lady had she had a tooth filling full of gold while they prayed for her just out of nowhere. I was like, "Sweet Jesus!" These are signs and
Wow.
wonders that a lot of people don't get to see. You read this in the Bible, of course, but people
Yeah.
don't get to see them, and I'm just like, "Wow, it's amazing." So it's rewarding for me to, at least for me, I think it's wonderful. I mean, of course, you they always tell you you'll get rewarded in heaven for what you do. Yeah, that's cool. We're not in heaven yet. Everybody's like, "We're not in heaven yet," but it
I
is
need to
it's
be rewarded here.
yeah. I need the reward now. But it's just beautiful to me. It's just seeing how others change or how others are impacted by what you have done. I take that over anything. I love it. I was able to meet wonderful people, doing the work of God. I mean, for instance, you. I mean, out of nowhere. I mean, if it wasn't for the connections that we had, I'm able to do this. And God knows I hate a camera and talking. I'm behind the camera. But I truly believe that it's wonderful because it just makes life happier. You
Mhm.
have that happiness. You have that knowing, like we were talking earlier in the table, like some of these kids that we blessed in Venezuela, Uruguay, Colombia, I'm probably never going to meet. I'm never going to see them or never going to meet them. My one hope is one day when I'm older, like in the 80s or whatever, they come to United States and they're like, "I remember your ministry. I remember the hope that you gave us by doing this event for us as a child. Thank you." And I'm happy just for thank you. You don't got to give me anything. You don't got to give me much. Just thank you. Thank you for blessing me. That's a rewarding for me.
Yeah.
That's very rewarding for me. I think that's wonderful. I think everyone should. Some people have the calling to do, some people don't. But I mean, I think living the Christian life and working for the kingdom of God is an amazing thing to do.
No. Yeah. Well, as we're getting ready to wrap up, and I'm not sure if you're able to talk about this yet, but what are the plans for 2023?
2023. We are working on two different places. We were blessed by two churches that opened their churches up. So one thing that we have truly been blessed because I talked to other people who have held the events or concerts, and they always say a big chunk of it is the venue itself. It costs a lot of money to rent a
Hmm.
venue. We have been blessed by the first three churches that they didn't charge us anything. They said, "We love what you're doing. Here's open doors. You do what you want." That has happened again now for next year. We have a concert in Delaware that we want to do with a brother of mine. I've known him for years. He opened up his church, and then out of nowhere, a church in Miami called us and they said, "Listen, we want to do this. We want to do a concert. We love what you're doing." I was like, "Wow, Lord, Miami,
Right.
that's crazy." and they're actually going to do a ended up doing it's going to be a youth night. So it'll
Oh,
be, you know, it's like a
cool.
youth conference. It's really really cool. Where they're
Yes.
going to do a Friday a conference, Saturday morning a conference, and then it finishes off with our concert Saturday night. So we're really excited about that. And then we are going to partner up with She Speaks the Truth. I can never say her name right, so I'm just going to say She Speaks the Truth. We're partnering up with her, and we're trying to do this will be new to us. This will be like our first non-concert type of thing.
Mhm.
It will be more like a conference that we want to talk about mental healthness, and you know how it combines with Christianity,
Okay.
and how
Yeah.
we can do that. So we're working on that. We're working on the people. I don't want to tell yet who we're gonna have yet. We're gonna announce that after next year, after all the holidays are over, we'll
Yeah.
announce what we're gonna do and who's gonna come. But it's gonna be an amazing. You know, it's not so much like the fame of the who's gonna come, but just what God is doing.
Mhm.
We know for Delaware, we're going to bless a sister in Dominican Republic who's opening up like an orphanage. So we're
Wow.
blessing that, and then Miami, we're still working on it, but someone gave me some nice feedback, and people in Mexico that we should look into for sure. But Yeah, we're just excited how God is opening doors. You know, and like I have doubts in my mind every single time. I'm like, Lord, why am I doing this? Lord, why am I doing this? I don't want to do this anymore. It's stressful. How are we gonna do this? And then He just opens doors like Miami, or
Yeah.
He opens doors with people saying, "Hey, this is great. Be a great." I believe everything happens for a reason. There's no accidents. There's no
Of course.
reason. Just like today, meeting you, and we talked about you're the reason why we're going to look into Mexico now to bless them. So everything happens for a reason, and we're truly excited that Seeds of Hope is growing. God is opening doors, and we can't wait to see what happens in 2023.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. For those who are watching us, how can we donate to Seeds of Hope?
So we have a website, www.seedsofhopechicago.com. We have an Instagram page if you guys want to check it out. We post as much as we possibly can. And there's also pictures of the places that we have blessed and the events that had happened, so that way you know that, you know, this is where the money is going to. Seeds of Hope is a nonprofit organization. So everything that we do, of course, we have to raise money to do all this stuff. So yeah, visit the website. It'll be really, really nice for you to see it. We have merchandise as well. But more than anything, pray for us. You know, constantly pray for us as we want to continue growing and seeing where where God wants to take us. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Well, thank you so much,
thank
Mario,
you.
for taking the time and obviously for responding to my messages.
No, thank you for reaching
I
out.
love, I love making new relationships. Talk about networking.
Yes, for sure, for
But
sure.
thank you for everything that you shared, and thank you for everybody who is watching, who's gonna watch later. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye, everybody.